hate it that their data is sold, right? People hate it that their data is sold. That's why people use calendar apps, like, I mean, email apps like Proton Mail, right? Because Proton Mail basically protects your information. Do you understand? They use scheduling apps like, say, Meet With, because they protect your information, right? So a lot of us have trust issues with these with these data companies, so to speak, because they collect your data and they sell them, right? So now, the idea of Web3 marketing is focused on community. Do you understand? Because, I mean, there's no way to run ads, right? There's no way to run ads. uh, Running ads is like the best way to get viral. It's like the best way to get more eyes on your content. All right. So now there is no such platform in the Web3 space, because there is no one to sell data to you. So the better approach, or the next best approach, is community. That is why every project wants to open a Telegram group. Every project wants to open a Discord. Well, some people don't know why they do that. They feel like that's the norm. But the basic idea, the basic psychology behind that is just for community's sake. Because let me tell you something. Um, Community is, thank God we are marketers here. See, community is just one way to control every mind. It's one way to control. I'm trying not to use the word the masses, but it's just the way to be the brain behind everything that is happening. Let's even bring that to real life here. Nigeria is a community, and Nigeria is centralized, yes. But just follow my scenario. Nigeria is a community, and it is led by the president, and then the cabinets, and then, at large, the elite, so to speak. And then they lay down policies that the country follows. All right. They lay down policies that the country follows. And then we are all in this community together. If the government says don't throw waste on the road, yeah. If you didn't hear about it, if you're walking with your friend on the road and you're about dropping it, your friend who has heard about it, that knows the penalty, will most likely tell you, hey, you don't do that here. You're going to get arrested. All right. So community is one powerful way to ensure that an agenda is passed. Community is one powerful way to ensure that an agenda is passed. How does this work? All right, so you get people into a Telegram group, and okay, as such was the practice. Um, a few years back, even till now, you get, a community manager, you get moderators, you get chat engagers. You're already creating a system that ensures that your project stays top of mind on on your members, on your community members, quote and unquote, your users, right? So these chat engagers, they are creating propaganda, or they are they are sending messages that help your users to still be bullish about your project. All right. Now this and then so now these users probably tell their friends, hey, this project is up. They're going to launch soon, TGE soon, or they are giving an airdrop, or they are giving a whitelist, and all that and all that. I'm going to come to incentivization later, but they're doing this and doing that and doing that. Your chat engagers are doing their work. Your community moderators are doing their work. They're laying down culture. you know your community manager is like the overall head of the community there, giving orders, telling the moderators what's going to happen, what's not going to happen, who's going to get banned, what's going to make you get banned, the lingua to use, what to say, what not to say, the ideology that everyone must follow, and all that. Right? You see that community is so powerful. Now imagine that community grows to like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 users. Trust me, the community already has culture. It is easy to if you are genuine enough, if you know how to leverage community power enough, you'd be able you your project would be as good as unstoppable. All right, your project would be as good as unstoppable, and it will just be so super powerful for you. So now, every I dare say that every Web3 project needs community. They need community to grow. So the basic idea of marketing any project is to create community, whether it's an enclosed community or an open community. An enclosed community like Twitter, I mean, sorry, like Telegram and Discord, or an open community like Twitter, like X, like LinkedIn, and all that. Do you understand? So now, I'm already explained that Web2 marketing, depends on ads and all that, while Web3 marketing primarily depends on community, right? However, um, there's something I'm going to explain soon, but I just want to say it. I just want to, chip it in right now. Um, it's not, it's not just enough to. I mean, there are other things that go into ensuring that a community progresses, as a Web3 community organically, right? There are different mechanisms and schemes that go into it, right? So there is incentivization. That's why you see a lot of incentives. They are doing giveaways in Web3 more than in Web2, right? Because um because I mean, what better way do you have to ensure that people really look into your project, right? There are different mechanisms like incentivization. There's network effect, there's viral effect. There, of course, there's influencer marketing and all that and all that and all that. Right. So I want to quickly answer, why do we use a lot of influencer marketing in Web3 than we use in Web2, right? I'm trying to explain the difference between Web3 marketing and Web2 marketing, which is also called traditional marketing, right? Now, here's the thing. Um, Now, see, yeah, you can't run ads in Web3. I mean, you can rather, but it's not the norm. So, like I said, Web3 depends on trust. So, hmm, influencer marketers and KOLs actually have been able to build trust. I've been able to build the trust of the people. In fact, I often prefer KOLs to influencer marketers, depending on the kind of project. Let me quickly break this down. So, of course, influencers, quote and unquote, are different from KOLs, right? KOLs are guys that really really know their stuff, like they really really know this thing. They are niched. Many of them are often niched, right? They are often niched. Many of them are often niched, and it is easier to, if your project is a deeply is a deep if it's a deep utility project, right? Maybe a DAO, maybe if just a very very serious project, like maybe open sea, it's often best for long term. It's often best to leverage KOLs. You can leverage influencers, here and there once in a while to spike quick growth. Yeah, but KOLs are often better for long term growth because, I mean, like I said, these guys are very very based, and most of the times they're often niched. Influencer just amass a large amount of followers around a large niche, right? Not a deep niche, a large niche. They could be around airdrops, they could be around jobs, they could be around trading. So you can just leverage them just to spread the tentacles, right? So yeah, that's different. So back to what I was saying, these guys have built trust. I mean, for 30,000 real people to be following somebody means they trust that person so well, right? And so that's another best way to ensure that people are really, I mean, ensure that you are able to get more people into your project. All right, that's one very very serious way you can get more and more people into your project. So I already explained that um traditional marketing relies on, centralized platforms like Google, like Meta, and all that. Why Web3 marketing is decentralized? Yeah, it's community driven. The primary essence of Web3 marketing is community. Whatever, no matter the kind of project you are pushing, all right, it is community. Now, another thing, I already said that Web3 marketing leverages, incentivization and different strategies, right? So now, there's something I want to quickly explain in Web2 marketing concepts. So generally in marketing, we have what we call growth loops. Yeah, growth loops is basically mechanisms that you use to ensure continuous growth in a project or in a business. One of such growth loops is network effect. Now, network effect is the idea where the more people use a particular project, or the more a product, or the more people come into a particular project, the more useful that business or that project becomes. For instance, let's use something we're very very familiar with, like WhatsApp. WhatsApp grows on network effects such that um the more people use it, of course, the more contacts you have, the more valuable your WhatsApp becomes, the more you're able to sell if you're a business, the more community you can grow on WhatsApp. All right. So now Web3 projects also depend on network effects because see, if I mean it depends. This largely depends on the idea of the project, but to large extent, as a marketer, it's often it's often good to be able to design network effect either into your marketing strategy, or if you can have the founders design it into the product. It helps your marketing stay more sustainable, right? It helps you not burn out of fuel and then there's no one else coming to your project, right? It helps, in fact, it helps your users market your project by themselves without even wanting to be paid. And one of such network effects is is um is incentivization, right? Now, the reason why I am coming from this angle, I could have easily said, yeah, incentivize people to just use a project, incentivize people to do this and do that. But I'm saying this for two reasons. Number one, I don't want you to just follow the status quo and say everybody's incentivizing, let's incentivize. Number one. Number two, your project might not essentially need incentivization right now because sometimes you can work with a Web3 SaaS that doesn't even plan to tokenize in the future. How do you get more people? Do you promise them what you cannot, what doesn't exist? You have to forcefully create a token around your project, because if you create a token, if you force a token into a project, if you force a token into a project, that project is going to die real quick, because in Web3 everyone is attracted to free stuff. And then when when the euphoria on the or the candle of free stuff burns out, everyone is going to leave a project and it's going to die. Like nobody cares if it's useful at that point, because you've not essentially added value to their lives, right? So the network effect doesn't necessarily have to thrive on incentivization. It has to thrive on experience. Web3 is coming to that point where where the experience is going to be top notch. It's going to be more than what we've ever seen on this internet. Of course, um, I'm not saying Web3 is going to rule the internet real soon, but I believe it's going to have a better experience, right? It's going to have a better experience because, for instance, look at the metaverse. Yeah, look at the idea of the metaverse. Look at the idea of NFTs. I mean, okay, look at how much money people make in this space. That's good experience. So you want to ensure that, I know you might not be the owner of the project, but you can suggest ideas. You can infuse this into your marketing, where the experience your users have or your members have in your project, no matter the kind of project, is top notch. All right. So in cases where you cannot create a network effect by incentivization. I mean, WhatsApp doesn't incentivize you. WhatsApp ensures their network effect goes on by their experience, their user experience. That's why many people won't just leave WhatsApp and just go to Telegram. Telegram seems like a very good competitor, but WhatsApp has been here before. Yeah, I mean they have the first mover advantage. But aside that, they keep redefining the experience so that you stay on the product. They don't have to pay you. They don't have to give you any money. They don't have to incentivize you. So if WhatsApp was a Web3 project, they already have, quote and unquote, a good product market fit. Like they're already good in the market. Do you understand? So you want to design. I mean, you would love to design network effects into your entire marketing strategy, or into your projects, if it's possible, so that your project just keeps growing and growing and growing. Another growth loop is viral effect. So of course, incentivization plays a large part in viral effect. um good experience plays a very very good role in viral effect. Of course, influencer marketing or KOL marketing plays a very very good role also in viral effects. It just makes your your word of mouth of your project fly. um Press releases and all that, they create viral effect for you. So these are just ways by which you ensure that your web3 project flies and all that. Now, there is another thing that I often or that I would use to differ. Um, okay, I think I've already explained it. Word of mouth, community trusts and all that. Yes. So now, next, I want to talk about um, key Web3 key concepts for Web3 marketers, or key Web3 concepts for marketers, right? So of course, we as marketers will likely work across different kinds of projects, right? Both crypto focused and non-crypto Web3 projects. So it's important that we have like a basic understanding of of what we are doing or where we are going into. All right. So let's start with blockchain, right? Blockchain is now blockchain is a public ledger. Yes, that's the technical jargon, right? But on the basic level, what exactly is blockchain? Right? On the basic level, what exactly is blockchain? I'm going to reference. I'm going to use Web2 as a reference to this, right? So I'm going to talk about blockchain. I'm going to talk about cryptocurrencies. Okay. So now, cryptocurrencies, we all know, is the currency of is the currency of Web3. Yeah. Um, we have Ethereum, we have Bitcoin, we have Solana, and all that stuff. Right. Yeah. Now, what is blockchain? Blockchain is the platform on which um on which Web3 basically runs. Just as we have Web2 servers, Web2 hosts for websites. Do you understand? Blockchain is the platform on which many Web3 projects, many Web3 ideas sit on. So it is designed such that everything that happens in in a project, for instance, is visible to everyone. Remember, one of the things we are pushing for in Web3 is trust, right? One of the things that we are big on is trust, because people can be anonymous. There's the opportunity for anonymity. There is decentralization. How are we sure that we how am I sure that I can trust my next body because he or she has possibly equal power like me in this blockchain project, or 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 wherever I find myself. All right. So blockchain is that platform on which other Web3 many Web3 projects exist. So when you say it's a public ledger, it's just where you go and see what is happening. So for instance, if I transfer $20, it is visible to my friend in Europe, or it is visible to someone who I don't know who is in Australia. Do you understand? So it is the platform that powers many Web3 applications, right? It is the platform that powers many Web3 application, and it is designed in such a way that um to a very large extent, it can't it its data cannot be erased, right? To a large extent. And of course, to a large extent, it is designed with security such that you can't just tamper with any information that is out there. The essence of blockchain primarily is to display everything that is happening within that ecosystem. So when I say an ecosystem, for instance, Ethereum is an ecosystem, right? So if I want to see everything that is happening within every transaction or interaction that is happening within the Ethereum ecosystem, I'll just go on the blockchain and just see what's happening. This person sent $2, this person exchange this for this, and all that and all that. All right. Now, the next idea I want to talk about is decentralized finance. So many people just talk about DeFi, DeFi, DeFi. What is DeFi? What is DeFi? Jeez, what is DeFi? What exactly does DeFi mean? Everybody's saying learn DeFi, learn DeFi, learn DeFi. Now, of course, the idea of decentralized finance is that you are able to largely decide what happens to your money on the blockchain, and then as a result of that, there are lots of there are lots of um what's the word now, there are lots of benefits that happen with being able to interact with the idea of decentralized
Oh,
finance, right? Can we hear me? Okay, I think I'm still being heard. So now, the idea of decentralized finance, like I said, is that you are able to a large extent, you're able to, you're able to control your finance. And then the idea of decentralized finance is to ensure that um, interactions keep happening within quote and unquote an ecosystem. Do you understand? And then there are technologies that ensure that decentralized finance happens, right? Like Uniswap, like Aave, like Seamless Protocol, and all that. These are places um, where Web3 or crypto people, go to maybe lock their money, lock their cryptocurrencies. People go to borrow. People get rewarded for staking, another word for say locking up your funds and all that, right? So now, here's something you must note. As a Web3 marketer, please, you must ensure that you communicate every single thing in Web3 very, very clearly. Why am I saying that? The reason is that Web3 still has skepticisms around it. I mean, there's still a lot of skepticism around Web3, right? The technology is still very, very confusing and all that. And then if you are if you are mostly using tech jargon, especially if you are talking to regular users, maybe you're not talking to the core developers, right? You're talking to regular users. You must you would confuse people, you confuse them with your Web3 words, Web3 quote and unquote jargon and all that. Please ensure that you break down every single idea you're trying to communicate to the simplest possible form. Speak like you are explaining to a 5-year-old child, right? Because the technology is we are still new, the technology, and many people still don't understand this. We are still onboarding a lot of people into the space. Do you understand? So please ensure that you are able to communicate as clearly as possible, as clearly as possible. And that another Web3 concept is NFTs, non-fungible tokens, right? So the idea of non-fungible tokens is, first of all, primary idea is for identity. Yes, a lot of benefits comes with it, like people being able to sell their NFTs, people being able to flip and make a lot of money. See, but the core idea of NFTs is identity. All right, it is identity, the way you have your DPs and all that, the core idea. In fact, one very big use case for NFTs in Web3 is the metaverse, where I have my metaverse house, and then my friends come visiting, and then they see a lot of NFTs on my wall. It's like I acquired this large amount of NFTs, and then I'm seen as rich, or I'm seen as wealthy, I'm seen as a collector. And then another person would love to have that NFT, maybe for status game, right? For status, and then they buy it off my hand. All right. So that's the core idea of NFTs. Now, in marketing, NFTs serve as loyalty programs. They serve as membership programs. They serve as brand engagement tools. Yeah. Well, largely enough, they serve as incentivization, means of incentivization, or means of virality, like means of, as a way to make a project go viral. We're whitelisting, and everybody's trying to hunt for whitelist. Everyone is trying to gain the NFT, and then boom, it launches, and then everyone makes their money. Do you understand? So the primary idea of NFTs is identity. However, you can use it as a way to incentivize your users. Do you understand? You can use it as a way to incentivize your users. Just trust for 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 long term sake. Just ensure that your NFT has utility around it. Do you understand? Your NFT has utility around it. One area where I'm really, really thinking hard about the use of NFTs is in games like COD. It's in games like FIFA, all right, and other games where you have an NFT, and then the NFT gives you access to tools. The NFT gives you access to points, to rankings, hierarchies, and all that stuff. Do you understand? So I mean, many of these use cases are still coming. See, I want us to think long term. I want us to think utility. Yes, there are projects that just want to launch, that just want to that there are projects that are focused on the cryptocurrency side of things, and they just want to make a lot of money and all that stuff. Yeah, you can jump on them and flip and build your experience. But largely, I want us to think long term. I want us to think utility. I want us to think solutions. I want us to think products, because Web3, yes, Web3 gives a lot of money, but at its core, Web3 is meant to solve problems, right? At its core, Web3 is meant to solve real life problems. Do we understand? Web3 is meant to solve real life problems. So when we're thinking about these marketing strategies or growth strategies, let's think in terms of, oh, how do I ensure that this thing stays long term? How do I ensure that this strategy is long term? Do we understand? Yeah, that's very, very, very solid. Now, another thing that marketers need to understand, that we need to understand as marketers, is DAOs. All right, now, um, there are Web3 projects that often depend on that have to actually run by DAOs, right? They have to run
Okay.
by the idea of DAOs. They cannot just run by themselves. Do we understand? And the reason is that these projects are very, very, very community centric, right? Some of these projects don't have enough resources to be able to run by themselves, right? So resources like maybe funds to be able to pay their workers, they don't have enough resources, like maybe enough expertise. Maybe they are building very, 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 very solid products that require a lot of expertise. So oftentimes they can partner with DAOs, like maybe studio ventures that supports them, that give them resources, that give them access to connections in whatever niche or industry they're playing in and all that. So now DAO marketing is also a very, very strong means of marketing, because it just gives you as a project access to opportunities. It gives you access to network. It gives you access to communities, right? Even private communities and all that and all that. So down marketing is important. I just thought to bring that to our notice. So now, yeah, and one thing that is super important in Web2 marketing, I just thought I want to chip this in before I go on, is partnership marketing. So partnership marketing is very, very, very important. So in Web2, yeah, we have we have a lot of we have a lot of companies that partner with one another. But I think Web3 takes this partnership marketing to a larger extent than regular Web2 businesses. Why? Because in Web2 they just announce, oh, we just partner with this, we just partner with this company, we just partner with this company. But in Web3 marketing, oftentimes this partnership marketing brings a lot of results. Why? Because of the community around it, right? So imagine two communities like say OpenSea and MetaMask running a partnership marketing together. MetaMask already has a large community following it. OpenSea already has a large community following it. And if they co-market, they would enjoy from each other's communities, and then they'll grow. All right. So when you are thinking of 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 how to ensure that your project goes forward, you want to think about partnership marketing, right? It's very, very, very important. It's super, super important, because it helps. It really, really helps, right? Now there's another thing that is super important when trying to market Web3 projects, right? One of such is founder-led marketing. One of such is founder-led marketing. And now I'm saying this to to projects that their founders don't mind doxing. Now here's something. As a founder, yeah, for founders, people tend to empathize with founders a whole lot. Why? Because actually being a founder is not easy, and as a founder, you're able to put in empathy into what you're doing. All right, you're able to put in empathy into what you're doing. So you are saying, oh, I just spent the last 2 weeks at the office. I wasn't able to see my daughter because I was just trying to make sure that this thing works. Everyone's like, oh, if your name is Cole, everyone's like, hey, go Cole, man. We are behind you. We are supporting you. You are an MVP. You know, you are the real guy, and all that and all that. Sorry. And now, founder marketing helps to ensure that, first of all, it helps you build trust. All right, founder marketing helps you build trust as a founder. So I'm saying this because some founders just love to be in the dark, just love to be behind the computer, building and building and building, and they don't know the opportunities they are missing out by not engaging in founder marketing. So as a founder, founder marketing helps the founder create a brand around themselves, and their brand is now being used to push the agenda of the project they are working with. Do you understand? So funnel marketing is very, very important. It's super important in Web3 marketing, right? A lot of Web2 founders don't leverage it as such. And when they leverage it, it doesn't fly so effectively as much in Web3, because Web3 community is the idea, community is the primary idea, and there's a lot of empathy if you are building good stuff, if you make good friends, if you build enough relationships, right? There is a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential for you. There's a lot of potential for you in here, right? So I just talked a bit about um Web3 marketing strategies, how to ensure that your project is well marketed. So I mentioned growth loops like network effect, viral effect. That's part of where incentivization comes in and all that. NFT flipping and all that comes in. I talked about influencer and KOL marketing. I talked about partnership marketing. I talked about founder led marketing. Yeah, and and then yeah, and community led marketing. All right, community led marketing is very, very powerful. Whether you are in an enclosed community, or you are in an open community, community led marketing is really, really powerful. It's really, really important, right? It's really, really important. Yeah, when I say community led marketing, I don't even mean just um online. I mean offline too. As a marketer, you can host offline events for a project. It gets more people. In fact, it gets more people into the project, and it gets people onboarded into Web3. All right, it is really, really important. It is really, really important. Now, another way to ensure that the Web3 project flies is through bounties, right? Well, that's a way of incentivizing, but bounties ensure that, especially for maybe writing bounties, content bounties, right? Of course, there are product bounties, but bounties largely help to teach people
Hello,
about your
hello, sir.
project. Oh yes, is someone
Eh?
speaking?
No, no.
Okay, so bounties help to ensure that not only do people see about a project, but
Nothing.
people understand what exactly you are doing as a project.
Ghana.
Do you understand? Um, I don't know. I'm receiving interference. Can you mute, please? So yes, bounties help to ensure that a lot of people are aware about your project. They understand, because I mean, for instance, to win a writing bounty, a content bounty, like you have to explain. You have to be very, very explanatory. You don't have to write. I don't believe in just writing tech buzzwords. I don't believe in buzzwords. Like, who understands what you're talking about? Today, everyone is saying, um this to incentivize you with everyone with they are using a lot of buzzwords that people don't care about. literally, real users don't know about this stuff because they don't even understand. They don't understand what it means. Do you understand? So yeah, as a marketer, I already explained that clear communication is very, very, very important, right? Clear communication is very, very important. And then of course there are other ways to market a project. AMAs, Twitter threads, blog posts, and all that. The traditional way. Yeah, those ways, those strategies also work. They also work to a large extent, right? So now, I've briefly explained, Web3 marketing strategies and things that work in this space. Okay. Now what are the roles of a Web3 marketer? What exactly are you supposed to be doing as a Web3 marketer? This thing can be confusing because even largely to for a while I wasn't clear on exactly what we're supposed to do as marketers. Like everything was so buzzy and confusing, right? Was so buzzy and confusing. So let me explain this very, very clearly. As a marketer, primary roles are number one, communication. Number two, adoption. And number three, to an extent, retention. Right? Number one, communication. Number two, adoption. And number three, retention. So now, when I say communication, your communication channels, you have to ensure that you are using the right communication channels for your project, and your communication is as clear as daylight. You are clear about what is happening. You are giving prompt updates about what is happening, right? You are ensuring that you are communicating on channels where you will be most seen. So ways to communicate are, of course, Twitter threads. I'm speaking I'm speaking as I'm speaking in terms of communicating with a brand now, or as a brand, yeah. Twitter threads, yeah. Um, blog posts, yeah. AMAs, right? Even guides, yeah. In fact, to a large extent, your white papers. You want to ensure that your white paper is not filled with jargon and tech and all that. Yes, there can be sections that are meant for tech people, but for the section that is meant for the masses, it has to be as clear as possible. Do you understand? Your communication must be very clear, else people are only going to come for what you're going to give them. I genuinely believe in creating solutions that people believe in, that people stay on, right? That people that retain people. So I already explained that your communication has to be very, very clear, right? Now, these are the primary things you're supposed to do. The next thing is adoption. You have to create ways that your projects can be adopted. You have to, I mean, you're not creating a project for fun. People have to use your project. People have to use your product. People have to be in your community or use whatever it is you want them to use. So you have to ensure that your adoption happens, and adoption happens by viral marketing, by, for instance, using influencers, for instance, making friends. In fact, as a marketer, you have to be able to make friends with your target audience, such so that you can easily talk about your project to them, right? You can easily tell them about your project and they'll be in. They also will be able to speak to other people about it. Do you understand? So your adoption strategies have to be very, very, very solid. If you're going to be using Twitter Spaces, if you're going to be using AMAs, even if you want to be using giveaways for the short term, for short term purposes, you have to ensure that you're strategic about it. You are not only relying on giveaways. See, Web3 marketing leverages on giveaways to a large extent. Yes, that happens, but there is also a point where people genuinely just want to use whatever it is you're building, right? There's that point where people just want to genuinely use whatever it is you're building. So giveaways can come in at a specific time, not all the time. You don't want to ruin your project with giveaways. Giveaways are very good, but you don't want to be the reason why everyone thinks about you, everyone remembers you. The next time everyone see you on the timeline, it's for a giveaway. It's for something you're going to come to get. Trust me, you're going to lose in the long term. As marketers, we are people who build for the long term, except your founder or except your dev just wants to build and run away anytime soon, right? But if you're building something really, really solid, you want to build for the long term. You're thinking, all right, how do we ensure that this thing stays long term? How do we ensure that people just keep coming into this project and stay? The churn rate is very, very, very less, right? Churn is very, very, very less. Now, um, okay, let's go on. Let's go on before I say that. Now, so I explained adoption. Now, retention. Well, retention largely depends on the experience of the project. How good is the project? Is the project shit? Does it make sense? Right? But at the same time, as a marketer, you can also create retention around the project. Do you understand? You can also create retention around that project. Of course, by keeping your community active, by by ensuring that, maybe, by ensuring that, you can even use, possibly you can even use bounties depending on the nature of what you are building, or the nature of your project. Do you understand? You have to be able to design retention strategies that ensure that, your users are not just running away. And yes, communication is also part of it, because anyone could get pissed off by poor communication, by lack of proper interaction. Do you understand? So communication is very, very important. Very, very important in terms of poor down. I mean, low market cycles. How do you handle fear, uncertainty, and doubt? How do you handle the project's reputation? Do you understand? How do you handle these things? So you have to be able to think around these things. Another way to ensure retention is through co-marketing, right? So for instance, your project has just integrated or just partnered with another project and stuff. Co-marketing is the way. You need to be able to co-market effectively, so that trust is built. If some of your users or community members believed in, or they have trust in the project that you are co-marketing with, they would they would be able to transfer that trust back to you and still remain. So you have to be able to ensure that you can create retention in your project, or in whatever, wherever you find yourself. Right, wherever you find yourself, it's very, very, very important. Now, there's something else I want to talk about. There's something else I want to talk about, and it is tokenomics. How tokenomics impacts how tokenomics impacts Web2 marketing strategies. A quick one. Let me quickly come back to the role of a marketer. So I already explained basically the role of a marketer in different types of projects. However, every project has the stage it is in, and the niche it is in, what it offers. Do you understand? So there's Web3 SaaS, there are Web3 startups, there are just NFT projects, and all that and all that. So number one, you have to know you have to be able to understand what kind of projects I am in, the psychology around the people who would interact with this project, and the stage of growth that the project is in. So let's use let's use, say, a Web3 SaaS as an example, possibly even a Web3 startup, right? And then, of course, you know that sometimes startups don't they are not funded, right? Sometimes startups are not funded. They are sweat funding. I mean, they have a very, very small team. They're just trying to build and fund themselves. And maybe the startup is in a SaaS niche. Yeah. Um. Okay. Let me use. Okay. Let's use SaaS. Let's go on with SaaS. So now you understand what kind of SaaS products are you creating? Yeah, what's the psychology behind that product? So let's use a product like Calendly. Let's assume that Calendly is a Web3 product, right? It helps people, schedule meetings and all that and all that. Yeah. So you want to ask yourself, what kind of project am I in? All right, I'm in a project where um people want to be scheduling meetings. So people that want to be scheduling meetings are people that probably they are freelancers, they are working across different teams, or yeah, they are probably founders, or marketers like myself, who want to be able to meet easily, right? Now, the next thing you're asking yourself, is um what stage of growth are we in, right? Are we in the awareness stage? Are we in the stage where we are making people, make purchase decisions, right? Or even if it's a project where everyone has to start buying in and buying in and buying in, there's always the phase where there has to be awareness about that project, right? There has to be awareness, like you don't sell to who you've not marketed to, right? And marketing is basically making people know you, like you, and trust you. Trust me, if people just know you and like you and they don't trust you, they're not going to buy from you. Do you understand? Trust is one of the reasons why many people have moved to Web3 away from Web2. All right, so you have to know what stage am I in? What stage are we in this project? Are we in the awareness stage? If you're in the awareness stage, you know that, oh, um you don't have to be doing a lot of come and buy, or take this action, or you're not supposed to be doing a lot of CTA that is around buying, that's around them making purchasing decisions. Most of what you'll be doing would be interactions. Most of what you'll be doing will be awareness. Most of what you'll be doing would be, oh, hey, this is who we are, this is how, this is what we are doing. And in fact, as a marketer, you must ensure that you sell emotions. You must ensure that you tap into people's emotions. People buy emotionally first before logically. So now, many people who came into Web3, they came into Web3 because there is money here. And and money problem is not a logical problem. Primarily, it is an emotional problem. So you want to ensure that, I mean, if you're telling your friend who is broke, who doesn't have a job, and the you are in Web3 making thousands of dollars monthly, and you're asking them to come into the space, you're telling them, hey bro, come and make some money so that you will feel good. Come and make some money so that you will be comfortable. You're not trying to sell a logical idea like come and make some money so that you make it in life. Like that doesn't sell. What sells rather is that so you can buy a Lambo, so that you can build a very very comfortable house, so that you can be proud of yourself that you made it. That's emotions. So you must ensure that you are selling emotions at its core, no matter what it is you're selling, no matter what it is you're marketing about, no matter what it is you're marketing, whether you're marketing an NFT, whether you're marketing a protocol. If it's a protocol you're marketing, you're, let's say it's a protocol that makes it easy for you to swap currencies, for you to swap your funds across different blockchains. You're telling them that you're not telling them um um this protocol makes it easy. This protocol makes it easy for you to cross chain or cross bridge. Like nobody, like at the core, nobody really cares about that. Like really, some people are just coming into the space and they have some money that they can experiment with. If you're saying cross chain, cross bridging, you are stressing them enough to you are stressing them to go and study what cross bridging is. You cannot simply tell them that, oh, it will be easy. It's easy. This protocol makes it easy for you to be able to quickly degen on Sol if you don't like Earth. If Earth is so expensive, just just convert your Earth to Sol, and then you are able to degen immediately, so that you don't lose out on your next call. These are emotional tactics to market whatever it is you're selling. So back to what I was saying, you must know the stage of marketing. I'll give a personal example. So there's a project I began to work with at the time. And then at that stage, what they just needed was just awareness, right? In fact, they were not having many users. In fact, I think they had just launched their MVP, and they were still refining. They were still in the development stage. They were still doing a lot of refining. So so it wasn't even right to ask people to come on because it was a subscription based product. So it doesn't even nice to ask people to come and pay for something, because I mean there's no virality around it, nobody knows it, nobody cares about it. So I didn't understand what they needed, and then I began to design. I began to, in my marketing strategy, I was writing, we'll reduce churn rates, we'll do this, we'll be having a lot of Twitter spaces and all that and all that. But after a lot of reflection and redefining, I now began to understand that, oh, these guys just need to build relationships. Like they need to build relationship with other builders, with they need to build relationships with people with their target audience in this space. In fact, they didn't even have money at the time to be able to do a lot of influencer marketing and KOL marketing. Do you understand? And even if they even did a lot of influencer marketing at the time, it would have still hurt them because their product wasn't solid enough for users to want to jump on and enjoy. Because I mean, they were already competitors around them. Do you understand? So it's important that you know where you are, you know where that project is, you know the stage of that project rather. Do you understand? Are they in the fundraising stage? Do they need to raise funds? So you know that, oh, at that point you need to be able to talk about, you need to be able to talk about our mission. What exactly do we believe in? See, many people in Web3 in the Web3 space believe in, okay, they believe in autonomy, right? Many people in Web3 believe in autonomy. I dare say that one of the unique selling points of Web3 when it began was the idea of autonomy, self-governance, decentralization. These are emotional ways to market. These are emotional marketing points. And people began to buy it, right? And because people began to buy it, the finances around this began to boom because, of course, more people began to come in, and then there was just that spike. So at its core, marketing at its core leverages emotions. All right, marketing at its core leverages emotions. So like I said, if you want to, if you're trying to, if you are not trying to raise funds with VCs and all that, you're talking about our mission, what we are all about, what we believe in, right? You're trying to you're trying to connect with the minds of your audience. You're telling that, oh, you're telling them that we know you believe in this thing, we believe in this thing as well, so come, let's collaborate, come, let's be friends, come, let's work together. Do you understand? Now, say let's say the project is funded. Let's assume it's a project that, it's a protocol that maybe targets developers. I'm just trying to use different use cases here. um Let me see. Okay, I'm seeing your question right now. Someone who just going to market with low followers who cannot be bloggers. All right, I'm going to come to your question. I'm going to come to your question real quick. Yeah, please, if you have questions, please just drop them on the chat. I'm on the chat right now, so I'll just keep my eyes there. Thank you. So, for instance, if it's a protocol that is targeting, devs and all that, right? And then they funded. Now you're asking yourself, what exactly can I do to market this project, right? One thing that you would do to market the project, number one, you can do a lot of of physical IRL event. I mean, in real life events. You can do a lot of hackathons, right? I mean, devs love to come together. You can do a lot of bounty programs. You can do a lot of incentivization around developers. You can do bounty programs um that tell devs that, oh, if you find a bug in our product, we're gonna pay you this is amount. A lot of people are gonna jump on your product, and then if your product is very very solid, they'll find it interesting. Like a lot of people are gonna stay on it. Do you understand? So at this stage of this project, they are funded. What they need is adoption. So you're already creating adoption strategies, online and offline. Do you understand? Now, once they have adoption, the next part is retention. How do you retain these guys, right? As a marketer, yes, the developers are keeping the product in check, they're keeping it running and all that. But you as a marketer, how do you retain it? One way you retain it is, of course, timely communication of what's happening behind the scenes. You know, another way you retain growth is also by designing, of course, like I said, these viral loops into your marketing strategy. All right, just to ensure that people are just there, people are just using it on and on and on. Right. Another way to retain it is by having a very prompt, communication channel. Yeah, whereby people are giving feedback and you're jumping on their feedback immediately. People love it when you jump on their feedback instantly. Do you understand? So these are ways by which you ensure adoption and retention in your your marketing. So now, I have a question here. It says, for someone who just got into the marketing field with low following on Twitter, how do we actually build the audience? Um, do you want to build your personal audience, or do you want to build your project's audience? You can use the mic. Okay, okay, okay. I'm just gonna answer this question right now. If you respond right now, then after once I'm done, I'll just respond to every other person. Okay, I think I'll just go on. I'll answer every question later on. You just keep dropping your questions, all right? Please keep dropping your questions. So now, yes, here's something that is very, very, very important to every Web3 project, or to many Web3 projects, or yeah, Web3 projects that have cryptocurrencies embedded in them. Hope you know that it's not every Web3 project that has cryptocurrency embedded in it, or cryptocurrency as its core part. It's not every project actually that has cryptocurrencies embedded at its core part. All right. So now, for for projects that have crypto embedded at their core parts, there's something that they must design for, which is tokenomics. So tokenomics is another word for token economics, right? So token is, of course, is another word for cryptocurrency, largely, to a large extent, right? And of course, cryptocurrency at its core is called currency, meaning that you have to design a way by which um, that currency keeps running within that ecosystem, within that project, so that the project remains relevant. So the more the more the more people continue to use and interact with that currency, the more that project remains relevant. Most in many cases, because many projects that have cryptocurrencies or that have tokens, um, to a large extent, their relevance depends on their token. Do you understand? Their relevance depends on their token. How many people are holding their token and all that. If fewer people are holding their token, the project can die. Right. So now, one way to ensure that um one way to ensure that a project remains valuable, or a project that often that has token around it remains valuable, is that the token has utility designed around it. All right, token has utility designed around it, or the project's token is designed with utility in mind. Do you understand? So of course, one way utility is used is for interaction within that project. For instance, if let me use a random example now. So, mm, okay, okay. For instance, for Google Meet now, this is just a random example. For Google Meet, you have to be able to um, buy a pro plan for you to have some extra advantages, right? Now, if Google Meet was a Web3 project that wanted to have tokens around it, it's going to have say Google as a token for people to keep buying access to pro to ask for access to pro what's the word now, for access to pro, right? Pro pro benefits, yes, pro benefits. Do you understand? So now, if utility if proper utility is designed around Google as a token, for instance, Google will most likely continue to have more and more usage around it. Do you understand? More and more usage around it. Now, another way that tokenomics impacts marketing strategies is by incentivization, is by incentive. Do you understand? Now, here's the thing. Um, in decentralized finance, there's always called staking, right? And staking is just the idea of locking your funds for a period of time, and then you get rewarded after a while. You get rewarded for locking your funds, depending on how long you choose to lock your funds. Do you understand? And then now here's the thing. Google, for instance, Google as a platform can continue to ensure that, okay, um, just so that our token continues to have more utility around it, we can ensure that people lock their phone. Now here's the thing. Um, the more people have access to a token, the more valuable that token becomes. Yeah, to an extent, the more people have access to a token, the more valuable that token becomes. Do you understand? So as more people keep buying, oh, I want to have more Google, I want to have more Google, I want to have more Google, of course it gets more valuable. And now the way to now ensure that people are not just panic selling, people are not just selling once the token rises and then it dips again and all that, is to create staking, where I tell my users that, oh, if you stake say 100 Google, after 2 months you're going to get like 20 extra Google. And imagine one Google is worth $1. Do you understand? So now you are designing incentivization inside around that token. Do you understand? And then it just helps your marketing, it just helps your products stay afloat. All right. Another way is rewards. Another use case for token, or another utility for token, is reward. All right. So you are rewarding users for maybe achieving milestones. You are rewarding them for contributing positively to that ecosystem. You know, you are rewarding them for different reasons, and you are rewarding them in your token. So it helps to also create it helps also create utility around that product. Like the product has utility. The product is useful. I mean, the token is useful. Do you understand? The token is very, very valuable, right? And now another way to keep a product afloat with tokenomics is through governance, right? So DAOs uses very DAOs uses so well, such that for instance, in the Ethereum ecosystem, if there is a need for an adjustment, of course there's no one person that just decides that an adjustment happens. Do you understand me? And for a major adjustment to happen in the Ethereum ecosystem, of course, it's going to positively affect some people and negatively affect some people. Now, for any agreement to be made, people have to vote. People who have maybe Ethereum, yeah, people who have this token, they have to vote and say, oh, I want this to happen, or I don't want this to happen. I support the motion, or I don't support the motion. Now, the idea that you are able to push an agenda forward and make it happen helps you buy helps you buy more tokens. Do you understand? And as a result, the token just has more value. The token stays top of mind, right? And because the token stays top of mind, the project by implication can remain very, very valuable. Do you understand? So beyond just trying to get viral out there, beyond trying to ensure that, oh, more people are just coming to have the experience of the product itself, you can also market that project or that product through tokenomics. Do you understand? Through tokenomics, by designing incentives around your token. All right. Of course, you can have a separate governance token from, you know the a regular financial token, or interactive token, right? Now, another way that tokenomics impacts marketing strategies is through supply and demand. So of course we know that the idea of finance depends on, the law of supply and demand. Now, it's as a result of this that we have what is called, token burning mechanisms. Such now, the idea of burning in cryptocurrency is a situation um where tokens get taken out of circulation, just so that the remaining can get more valuable. So what I mean is, for instance, if there is 1 million pieces of Bitcoin were created, just so that the value of Bitcoin can just keep going up and going up and going up and going up, some some pieces of Bitcoin just keeps getting taken out of the ecosystem into a dead address. So nobody can access that wallet address. The Bitcoin tokens are there and dead forever. So the idea of token bond is just to ensure scarcity. You keep pulling out some pieces of the token out of circulation so that the value can just keep going up. It helps to balance, supply and demand. As the value goes up, people sell, right? And then when people have seen that, oh, the value has dropped, buying again and all that. So it just keeps rising and falling, and just keeps, and just keeps floating that way and that way. Do you understand? Now, another supply and demand mechanic is distribution models, right? So, um, one distribution, one way that we see distribution model happen is in vesting. So, for instance, if maybe you get an airdrop, now here's what often happens with projects, right? Um, when a project launches, yeah, they launch with an airdrop, and the airdrop gets valuable. The value spikes in the market. Everyone is claiming and then rushing to sell, and within a short while, the the token dies. Project is forgotten. No one thinks about it again. Like I said, to a large extent, tokens help to keep projects more valuable, right? Tokens help to keep projects more valuable. Now, in order to avoid these projects from dying or going into the dust, devs and founders leverage what is called they leverage what is called what's the word now, they leverage a mechanism that ensures that this airdrops or these tokens are released in bits. Yeah, they are, yes, vesting. They are released in bits, so they are released over time. So, for instance, if you were able to get 1,000 pieces, they won't have to give 1,000 pieces immediately. They give you, say, 100, 50 every month or 20 every month, so that the token just stays in circulation somehow, by some means. And then, with effective marketing and with good experience around the product, a lot of people will keep staying on the project, and then they just keep using the token for whatever it is the token was designed to be used for, to buy, to sell, to get access, and all that and all that and all that. Do you understand? So that's a supply and demand mechanism. All right. Now, another way that tokenomics impacts marketing strategies is through community-led growth. Do you understand? Now, some communities can leverage, token-based referral programs, where you are running a referral program and then you are being paid in the token. Yeah, the token has value. The more, um, the more you're able to amass, the more value you keep getting, and all that and all that and all that. That's a way to ensure that, your project stays afloat. All right, that's a way to ensure that a project stays afloat, because just keep people in your project. You keep people staying in your project. You keep people bringing more people in your project. But again, I must inform you that in the long term, ensure that your project is solving a deep pressing problem. Number two, the project has a very good experience designed around it. You might not be the one responsible for designing a good experience around that project. You might not be the one responsible for determining. You might not be the one responsible for determining, the problems that project is going to solve. But you can suggest these things. You can ensure. You can just. You can make sure to work with projects that are actually doing really really solid stuff. Do you understand? That are building real solid solutions that would last so long. Do you understand? However, token based referral programs are just a way to, in the short term and intermittently, just keep bringing more people into the project, keeping the token, keeping the token alive, keeping it in the market, keeping it flowing, and all that and all that. Do you understand? Now, another way to leverage community-led growth with economics for marketing is through governance voting incentives. So I already mentioned that governance. I mean, Governance voting is just the way by which you decide what happens in an ecosystem. Do you understand? And then you need to have some amount of tokens for that ecosystem to be able to vote, right? That those tokens give you voting power. So the more you have, the more voting power you have. Do you understand? So yes. So now, some governance systems are designed such that if you vote, you get incentivized. So it just makes you want to get more of that token because more of that token because you're going to get incentivized more and more. Yeah, as a user and as someone who's going to vote. Do you understand? So yeah, these are these are like these are the primary ways by which tokenomics impacts marketing strategies. These are the primary ways by which tokenomics impacts marketing strategies. So I don't know if you have any question. I don't know if you have further questions. I'm going to answer these questions right now. If you cannot type, you can just use the mic, please. Okay. For starters, how do you do to actually get a marketing job? Because no one's going to hire a marketer with 200 followers. Okay, yes. Okay, here's the thing. Now there are different kinds of projects, right? Okay, cool. Thank you. So there are different kinds of projects. There are projects that there are different kinds of projects. There are really well established projects, and there are projects that are building gradually. All right, they are really well established projects, and they are projects that are building gradually. There are also projects that needs a specific kind of expertise. There's a project that doesn't need you to be loud, to be a loud mouth, be shouting, let's fucking go," posting Twitter spaces up and down, right? Um, as someone who wants to build really deep stuff, you don't have to follow the status quo, like I said. So now you have to be able to, first of all, to be able to get a marketing job, you have to be able to many a times be able to um as a starter, you should be able to work for free. Yeah, you can. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. The things. So there are some projects that won't mind you, quote and unquote, interning with them or contributing to them. There are DAOs, there are venture studios that will pay you. I mean, that would have you come and work with them. Build with them, build your portfolio and all that. One of such DAOs is RNDAO, right? RNDAO is open to contributors, marketing contributors, who and they have venture studio, they have startups, ventures in them that will allow you that need people to contribute to their team, right? They might not pay you in fiat, but there's a possibility that you can get governance tokens in the long run or as you start working. Do you understand that possibilities that you get points and all that? Do you understand? Now another thing is to another way to get marketing role is just it can be daunting, but just be a fan of that project. Do you understand? Be a fan of the project, write about the project, um, be close, try and build relationship with the key stakeholders in that project. Show them show them that oh you know what exactly they need. See, yeah, when you're pitching to I'm still going when you're pitching to any project, you don't just pitch, I'm a marketer, I'll do this, I'll get you 100 followers. What if they don't need followers? In fact, you might tell them, oh, I'm going to help you onboard users into your space. What if they don't need onboarding? What if what they need is devs? What if what they need is influencers? For instance, social file projects. So first of all, you have to when you look at the project here, ask yourself, what problem is this project facing? Be in the community for a while if they have a community. Interact in the community. Ask questions like you are genuinely curious, not like you want to get a job. If you see flaws, approach the team. Hey, say, hey, I saw this flaw. I think you guys can do better. I think you guys can do this. I think you guys can do this. You can now when you're suggesting, suggest what to do, not how to do it. Because if you suggest how to do it, they can steal your idea and go and implement. All right. Another way to actually get a job, this is free game. Another way to actually get a job is to write use cases. So if I were the marketing manager for OpenSea, I would have noticed this flaw. I would have noticed this error, and then this is what I'm going to do. Keep doing that for different projects. See, Have fun while doing that stuff. It might be painful because you're not being paid, but have fun while doing. Eventually, that's part of your proof of work. Do you understand? That's part of the proof of work. And eventually, a real project is going to approach you and be like, oh, I think this guy really knows his stuff. Or by the time you're now pitching, maybe after you've suggested, and they're like, oh, okay, how do we go about it? You're like, okay, um, um, I can help you do this. I can help you do it. In fact, you can even offer to do it for free in the first week. You're like, okay, you know what? Let me just create a strategy around it and let's implement for 1 week and or for 2 weeks or however long you feel it's going to take. Or please don't take so long on free job. It depends. It depends. I mean, this is nuanced, but yeah, let me tell you one secret. One secret. If a project, for instance, needs 10,000 followers, yeah, you don't have to wait until until you've given them 10,000 followers before you feel like you've done a good job. That's what is called, you know, little milestones. So try and get them 100 followers in a week. Try and get them 50 followers next week. Like, and you're showing them that, hey, I just got to 100 followers last week. Hey, we just made 150 followers the next week, right? And then these little milestones make them feel like, oh yes, you really know your stuff. You really know your job, and then they can hire you. Do you understand? So go with the mindset of I want to solve problems. The masses, let me tell you what the masses does. The masses, they hear from, God help me. I hope I'm not going to offend people tonight. The masses just hear from 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 every idol out there, and then they're just going to try out stuff. Let me tell you something here. The real things that work, they're not said on the high streets. They're not spoken on streets. They are said, they are whispered in caves. They are said in circles. They are whispered in places where in places where the access to enter is just expensive. Do you understand me? So you have to be able to think about what people don't know, what people don't think about, what people don't do. Yeah. And in fact, another way to be able to spot problems, if you find it difficult to be able to spot problems, is first of all, just choose a niche in Web3 that you want to focus on and begin to study so crazily about that niche. What problems are they facing? Yeah. Use ChatGPT, use Google. You can even on Twitter, you can just make tweets that ask questions. Oh, I'm genuinely curious about this. What do you think, guys? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Enter forums, enter communities where there are people like you and ask questions. These are ways you get data. And then you can even host spaces where you just have other marketers come and talk about problems they face or problems projects face, or even a rant party. Yeah. And then you're just gathering data, and then you now go and research. Okay, how do I solve this problem? How do I solve this problem? And then you just make public posts about it. And like, oh, this I'm going to solve this problem. This I'm going to solve this problem. This I'm going to solve this problem. And you're getting seen that way. Do you understand? So many see, I have a friend that within a few months last year, he made over $15,000 as a marketer. He wasn't active on Twitter. He wasn't active on X. He just knew his stuff. He just knew communities to be part of. Follow people who are like you, who are thinking like you, people who have gone ahead in the game. They don't have to have 100,000 followers. In fact, many of the based or basest, if there's a word I can use like that, marketers are guys that have 3K followers, 2K followers, 1K followers. Trust me, these guys are very, very solid. Very, very solid. Very, very solid. I think, okay, let me just I mean, if I hope I quickly find one that I'm following. I'll just give you guys free game here. Hope I find him. The guy is really, really solid. I mean, oh my god. I'm always amazed every time I see stuff. Many of let me That's why I said KOLs are different from marketers. And largely, I mean, KOLs are different from influencers. And largely, I prefer I prefer rolling with KOLs than influencers to a large extent. That's my bias. All right, that's my bias. All right, one person you should follow is Jax Doyer. Let me type it in the chat so you just go check him out. All right, so that's his username. Go check him out on Twitter. He's really good. I mean, he doesn't say the regular stuff, especially if you're someone who is after building utility projects. Let me tell you something here. Building a utility project is more difficult than building a Let's Fucking Go project, because please mind my French, many Let's Fucking Go projects they raise a lot of money and they just burn money. They go and hire influencers that'll just be pumping stuff. Everyone is buying, and before you know it dies. Everyone is flipping NFTs, and before you know it dies. That's one of the things that gives Web3 its skepticisms. That's one of the things that make people not trust Web3 so much. Yeah, that's one of the things that make people not even understand the space. Do you understand? So I just give you guys free strategies on how to build your portfolio, how to how to how to build your how to get access, how to get jobs. You don't have to have 1,000 followers to get a job. In many cases, do you understand? In many cases, you don't have to have 1,000 followers to get a job. If you know your stuff, there's a lot of job opportunities out there. So for you're not like the regular Twitter guy, regular crypto Twitter guy, or CTNG guy that just loves to blab and make noise. All right. So yes. Now, um, but yes, I already explained how to build your Twitter following or your Twitter follower, your follow account. Yeah. While that is good, Twitter follow account can be a vanity metric. Just be the most important thing is that you're building community. Like you're building relationships with people who are either where you're going to or on the journey of where you're also going to. So that you can collaborate, so that they can support you, so that you can get more opportunities. Please don't follow the fad. Please don't follow the noise. All right? Don't follow the noise. I'm saying this because I don't enjoy the noise that happens on crypto Twitter, especially CTNG. I don't enjoy the noise, right? I don't enjoy it. It's all noisy, and I just don't flow with it. Do you understand? So yes. Now, next question says, what are the flaws in Web3 marketing? What difficulties a marketer faces, like getting scammed and stuff? So now, one of the flaws in Web3 marketing is not understanding what your project needs. Someone will just call himself a marketer, and then he thinks the marketer because he just hires KOLs and influencers. That's not it. Like you need to marketing is adoption and retention, right? You need to be able to design adoption, design retention. Why am I in this project? What does this project need at this particular time? What would they need tomorrow? What stage? What are they going to need in the future? That's marketing. That's why you're now beginning to think, okay, I think we need influencers. Okay. Okay, so we want to achieve this propaganda. Remember, marketing is largely propaganda. If you don't know, marketing is largely propaganda. You are pushing an agenda. Let me tell you something. Social media itself is a means of pushing propaganda. It's a means of pushing an agenda. Everyone is pushing an agenda. Yeah? And people react to stuff. So you're thinking, what's the agenda right now? And how do I push this agenda in the best way possible? So one of the flaws in Web3 marketing is not understanding it's not understanding what the project. Number two, another flaw is jargon communication. Yeah, communicating with jargon and buzzwords. If you are talking to the masses, you need to speak clear words. One project that impresses me is Pod. Yeah, I mean, I got on their website. I think I read their white paper. I was like, wow, this is just so interesting. Like, this is just so simple. Their word is so simple. Don't try to overcomplicate things. Make sure that what you do, who you are doing it for, why you are doing it is very, very, very clear. Do you understand? It's very, very, very clear. And of course, there are different sides to to marketing any Web3 project. There's a social media side, yeah. And there is a community side of things where you are going into the rabbit holes, building relationships. It's really important, especially for startups, right? It's really, really important, because what if you don't have so much money to pay reply guys or pay influencers and all that? Do you understand? These relationships you build, they stay long term. They give you loyal people. That's why sometimes you see CTOs. Yeah, sometimes that's why you see community takeovers on projects where the founder dumps and all that. People believe in that thing so much. Yeah, sometimes that's the reason. All right. So now, what difficulties do marketers face? Yeah, one difficult marketers face largely is scaling, right? Marketers face a lot of scaling difficulties. Marketers face problems of noise. Everyone is shouting, everyone is saying this, everyone is saying that, and then they're like, should I also apply this to my project? Should I also try this? Should we just try AMAs? Should we just try this? Should we just try that? See, as a marketer, you have to go back to the basics. Let me tell you something here. Marketing at its core has remained the same, whether it's Web3 or Web2. The core principles of marketing remain the same. Make people know you, like you, and trust you. It's just the methods that change. So, one advice I'm going to give you, yeah, especially if you're going to be working as a marketer for for serious utility project, read read books that teach you on the basic concept of marketing. Do you understand? Like listen to podcasts that explain the basic psychology behind marketing. Do you understand? The basic psychology behind marketing. And one of such books is This is Marketing by Seth Godin. Do you understand? Make no mistake, make no mistake, guys. Web3 marketing is still follows marketing principles at its core. I'm saying this again. It follows marketing principles at its core. It's just the methods that differ. And the methods depend on where you are, the project you are, the stage of that project. Do you understand the stage of that project? So getting scammed, oh yes, a lot of people get scammed with Web3 is a normal thing. You just have to be very, very careful. Or you work and you don't get paid. Yeah, that happens. Right? That happens. You just have to that happens actually. Um you just have to be very careful. You have to make sure that um your contract is clear, like your terms and conditions are clear. And if if the project isn't really forthcoming with anything too serious, you can maybe choose to work with another project or something. And another thing I need to add, guys, is that you ensure that you define what you want to achieve in any project for yourself as a person, as a marketer. Whether you want to be there for a long time or a short time, you have to actually define what exactly do I want to achieve here. Yeah, because it's going to be part of your confidence booster. It's going to be part of what you can use to boast by yourself. Sometimes it's not enough for people. It's not enough to rest on the laurels of social proof. Everybody say, "Oh, this guy is good. Oh, this guy is good at what he does." Do you know how good you are? Do you know what you can do? Do you understand? So you need to set milestones, set goals in this project. This is what I want to achieve. Whatever the project is doing, whatever it is they are doing. Yeah. Even if they want to get to 100 million market cap, set a personal goal. Okay, I want to achieve this. And then so that when you leave that project, you have something deep within you. You have a memory of experience that you can always fall back to for confidence, for strategies and all that. Do you understand? So yeah, I don't know if there are any other questions. Are there further questions? How a new project grow on Twitter followers from 0 to 100,000, except running airdrops of or farming or okay, do they use some panel massively? Okay. Now there are different approaches to these things. Do you understand? There are different ways by which these things work. Yeah. Um Now, say you're starting a project from scratch here. To get your first few followers, um you need to be able to actually reach out to specific people who are maybe early supporters, yeah, people who are like your target audience, for instance, yeah, you and then as you get people in the project, you can incentivization can come on later, not immediately. Do you understand? Incentivizations can come up later, not immediately. You can also host AMAs or spaces and all that to get more eyes on your project. Do you understand me? Yes. A lot of projects also run airdrops. Yes, they run airdrops. They run point farming. Yes, some of them use influencers, KOLs and all that. There are different ways by which they do these things. Do you understand? It depends on how funded your project is. It depends on the niche your project is in. You know, yeah. It depends on what your project is building. Do you understand? It's not every project that needs virality at the beginning, like crazy virality. Yes, you need to get people to follow, you need to get people to see you. So you can also join spaces where you just add ideas to what's going on there and then show your project in there as a solution and all that. So there are different ways by which people do these things. Yeah. You can some people can share it to their friends. Hey, help me follow this project. Help me follow this project. Help me tag this person. Help me tag so people. Help me tag your friends and all that. It depends on who you are targeting primarily. Do you understand? There are different means to doing it. Depends on who you're targeting. And also, yes, one big way to grow a project account on Twitter is to be a reply guy, a project reply, like be a reply guy as a project. Find yourself in find yourself in the comment section of where you find your target audience. Be early, turn on notifications, be early. It helps a whole lot. Do you understand? It helps a whole lot. Another way is to, offer support to bounties, you know, and all that. Like on Super Team, there are projects that get more eyes on them on themselves by sponsoring bounties. Do you understand? But largely airdrops, point farming, it helps to get a lot of followers. Do you understand? It just depends on how funded that project is and what it is they want to do. Did I answer your question? KOL networks. I don't know of any that I can recommend right now. I'm not sure. Some of them are actually gated. Some of them are actually gated. I'm not sure. There's none I can think of right now. Many of them, or some of them that I know of, are gated. But see, one way to don't stress yourself too much. One way to actually get these things is just search for people who do stuff like you, people who are solid like you, or people who are solid in what they are doing. Like this Jax Doyer guy. Look at his friends. Look at people he interacts with. Check his reply section. Yeah. Look at um look at his following. Yeah, people he's following. Look at look at similar accounts to him. That's how you just get this. You just have this network of people. Before you know it, you find us. You interact with them in the DMs, and then they can just share you a community. You don't have to actually ask them, oh, do you have KOL communities and stuff and stuff. Just be friends with them. Yeah, just be friends with them. If you have an idea, or share ideas with them. Yeah, and then somehow you just you just find yourself in their midst. They can shield some things on their Twitter. Oh, I'm building this community of so people. I'm building this community of so people, and then they already know you. They already like you. They already trust you. You marketed yourself to them. Basically, they just add you up. You know. So on Twitter, just follow them on Twitter, even on LinkedIn as well. If you use Farcaster, yeah, good for you too. And on yeah, Reddit too is on Reddit. Reddit is another place to find solid people. Do you understand? Reddit is another place to find solid people. So yeah, did that answer your question? Are there any more questions? Can we hear me now? Can anyone hear me? Okay. I think I'll just give the quiz question. So the first question is, what's one key difference between Web3 marketing and Web2 marketing? Yeah, or traditional digital marketing, right? What's one key difference? The next question or the next quiz is, how does tokenomics influence marketing campaigns? Right? How exactly does it influence marketing campaigns? The next question is, how does audience engagement differ in Web3 compared to Web2? Okay. How how does audience engagement differ? How does it differ in Web3 compared to Web2? And then the fourth quiz question is, um, mention two unique challenges that a Web3 marketer working for an NFT marketplace and another working for a DeFi lending platform face, and how can they address them? Right. So I'm not sure if anyone can hear me clearly, but I believe I'm being heard. Let me see. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I think I'm done here. I think I'm done. Thank you all for having me. I really, really, really appreciate. Thank you so much. I'll be handing over to I'll be handing over to the Value Cup team. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you, the Value Cup team. Um, yeah, you have the mic. Thank you.